Well, brother, here we are back on air, and it's been a month or two, and we're long overdue. And you've had some pretty big things happen in the life of the Ram Hunter Pallister that I think bears worth chatting about.
Oh yeah, it's been a whirlwind for sure.
Every time I talk to you, it's a whirlwind. You are like the whirling dervish of the sheep world, man. Just like all energy and all go. And then, we had some news here, kind of early days for us here. I'm sure you knew a little bit more beforehand with what's going on in your health on the health side of things. But let's get into it. You made a big announcement about a month ago now, maybe 6 weeks, about some health challenges that you're going through, and can you just kind of give us a bit of a backstory on that, Shane?
Yeah, so earlier in the fall in September, I was over in Mongolia and doing a bunch of pre-scouting, mapping out roads and mapping out sheep, more importantly. But I gained a lot of knowledge about where the sheep are over there. So lived with nomads and ate their food and caught their diseases and everything. So um anyway, in September we kind of were wrapping up the hunt. We knew what ram we wanted to kill. So we um we were hiking back and forth trying to last minute, trying to make sure we hadn't missed anything. I think I put on like 34K in the last 2 days at 10,500 feet.
Wow.
So for somebody of my limited uh aerobic ability, it was pretty good, John. Not a big walk for an average guy, but for me it was good. And at that height, I was pretty okay with. I thought I was in pretty good shape for me. Um, so we swung from that hunt right over into. I came home, spent a little bit of time in BC looking for some cougars, and jumped right back on the plane and headed for Kyrgyzstan over to do ibex and Marco Polo. And uh, of course, the ibex were probably they were between 11, 12 and a half thousand, somewhere in there. And I started noticing right away during that trip, I could feel at about 12,000, 11 and a half, 12,000, that there was some kind of an issue. Didn't really know what it was, just thought that I should be able to pick up a little bit better than that. But um, came back down, went back up a few times, no big deal. And then we went up into another valley, got on the horses, and we went right over the top into some quite a bit higher country. We topped, two or three passes over 14,000 feet, and did a pretty heavy day on horseback, 32K through the mountains. And um, I got up to the top of the last 14,000 foot peak, and I just thought, like, holy shit! Like, I've never ever felt like this before. Like I thought it was the altitude. Got back down, went down into the river valley, and seemed to feel a little bit better riding back on the horse. Got to the cabin, and I couldn't even walk back to the damn cabin. I was just like, there was nothing in me. And I start coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing. And I knew enough about the physiology of altitude sickness to know what's going on. You know, I'm getting pulmonary edema, I'm coughing up fluid and whatever. And I start coughing up a little bit of blood, and the outfitter decides it's time for me to go out of there. I'm thinking I'm just gonna spend one more night there and see how I feel in the morning. He's like, I don't think so. So we made a plan the next day to meet in a truck at the top of the pass, 2 hour ride, and get me out of there. And that turned into a 6 hour ride all the way over the pass and down the other side. And I was not feeling very good at that point. Still coughing pretty heavy. Got back down, to the truck, drove into Nan, which is about 6,000 feet. And I hadn't eaten for 3 days at that point, and my appetite came back, from the altitude. Had a big meal, felt good. And then we continued on the next morning early down to Bishkek, which is quite a bit lower. And I found out you can kind of get altitude sickness in reverse too if you go backwards the wrong way too fast. So I ended up kind of holing up there for 3 or 4 days and just recuperating. And then I came home from there, and what I went back down to Montana or to Mexico as soon as I got home. I had a couple sheep hunts to do, and I caught a chest cold from my partner right away, and I still was having trouble recovering. Like I just wasn't like getting back up to speed, right? So, and he was joking, like touching my clothes, like making jokes at me, like coughing on me, and I'm like, leave me alone, man. I don't want your cold. And anyway, I ended up catching this cold, this flu or whatever it was, and in respiratory infection, and it lasted for 3 weeks. And I finally went to the doctor before I came back. I came back home for Christmas and got a CT scan done, and he says, "Oh yeah, you got pneumonia." Looked at my lung, and later looking back on it, it was a tumor, but he didn't know it. And so I came home and I took the dogs out, went to chase a cat, and I just couldn't go. I just didn't have anything in me, and and got back on the plane, headed back down to Mexico. Did the sheep hunts I had to do, and then I had the one Tiburon Island hunt to finish up. So I did that at the end of the season. It was 13 days, and we just hiked that island relentlessly. And it'd been so overhunted at that point that we had a hard time finding any ram of any quality size. And I hiked my heart out for 13 days, loving it, grinning it, bearing it, smiling, looking around, just loving life, but suffering. I wasn't even carrying much of a backpack, and I couldn't keep up with the guys, and I had this dry cough I couldn't get rid of, and then they give me a bronchial dilator. So I got back into Hermosillo, and I had got on AI after that because I hadn't used AI much, and I started punching all my symptoms in, all my blood tests from before when I went in. I added them all in there, and I asked it like, "What do I need for blood tests? Considering what you saw, what's going on? I have this cloudy spot on the CT scan." And it said, gave me a whole range of blood tests to do. It said, you need a CT scan, make sure a radiologist reads it. So I got all those, and then came back to Benjamin Hill to wait to head back home to Canada. And all the blood tests came in, and everything was like completely out to lunch. I was anemic. I had low calcium. I had high potassium. I had like my inflammation markers were through the roof. I had, so, and then I also had that same spot on my lungs, and the AI program went through it all, deciphered it, wrote up a report, and it said you need to go to medical treatment immediately. Have something seriously wrong with you, and it gave a list of everything from pneumonia to you might have cancer or whatever. So I flew home, and I got home the day I got home. I went into the hospital, and while I was sitting in the hospital, I got the radiologist report from Mexico for my second CT scan, and it said that I had metastasized tumors all through me from my lung. So that's kind of where we started off. That would have been March 12th. So I found out I had a tumor, maybe the size of a boiled egg in my left lung. One that went around my aorta, and by my lymph node and in my lung kind of area. And it goes down kind of behind my liver, and then my one of my kidneys, my adrenal gland. And they're not sure where else, but we're gonna find out here. That's kind of why I'm down where I am today doing what I'm doing. So um basically the last sheep hunt I did this year, I did it with, basically with nothing left in the gas tank. But I I fought every inch of that thing, and I didn't I did my best. I had a lot of fun. I didn't ask for any help from those guys. I carried my own stuff, whatever I had, and participated and didn't stay behind and made it home.
Amazing, man. So many things going on there. Um, I guess the one thing I know about you, Shane, is you're I'll just be blunt. You're one tough motherfucker, and you're a fighter, and you've spent your whole life. You were born with basically with illness right from the get go, and you fought every step of the way and defied odds all along the way. Um, maybe for people listening, maybe just touch on some of the early stuff that you've overcome in life, and then has that prepared you for where you're at now? Because just you talked a little bit about, but my understanding, you got stage 4 lung cancer, right? That this is a very
That's
advanced stage, right?
Yeah, that's right. So um I was born with a nerve sheath tumor. It's called a neurofibrosarcoma. It was one of the only recorded, or if the only recorded infant stage cancer like that had been dealt with. So it's very unusual, and nobody at the time could figure out the cause. My grandpa was a very, well recognized geneticist at the time all over the world, and he worked on it. And they tried to operate on it, and it came back when I was 3. So they operated on it, and then afterwards they radiated the area to try and make sure they killed anything. And a lot of doctors are speculating now that the radiation damage to my DNA caused the cancer I have right now. But that's speculation. It's in the same place where I had the radiation. It's about the right time frame. All the evidence fits, but nobody knows for sure. But but it is a lot. But it's an unusual cancer for where it is. And it has unusual characteristics. So it's made it very easy to treat in one sense, but challenging in another. But also, there's still questions about what is it. Again, um, the and midway through my life, I went through a pretty serious stage where um, like I had kyphosis and scoliosis that was so bad that it was basically destabilizing my spine. So I had to spend a year and a half in the hospital, having my spine straightened by traction and an inverted bed until it was straight enough that they could take a piece of my leg bone and fuse my vertebrae all together and prop it up and make it stable so I could go out and do all the cool things that I wanted to do. They told me I could never, I mean, I've told this story before. They told me I could never do any kind of heavy lifting, no contact sports, no this, no that. So I went out and found every badass, hard hitting, like in your face sport I could find. And I just said, hey, let's fucking go. Let's anything you can bring at me, got on wild horses, climb mountains with ropes to go hunt, rappelled off of waterfalls, climbed climbed rock faces, jumped out of airplanes. Like the list goes on and on. If there was something fun to do, we did it. So
Yeah.
um, obviously sheep hunting fit right into that category because it was like the baddest thing to do, and I was happiest living in the worst shit. Like the badder, the worse it was, the steeper it was, the more shitty it was, the happier I was that I was there and nobody else was there because of it.
Talk a little bit about your mental mindset, Shane. Like that's one thing about you is it seems like the more adversity you have in life, the better. It seems like that's where you thrive. You just kind of described that. Um, where does that come from? Is that something like from the struggles you had at an early age and like, like overcoming the challenges? Like, is it that mental mindset? Is it for you trying to overcome the challenges or obstacles that are in your way of being successful and something that you had to deal with so early on as a young kid, and that's like in your DNA, that's who you are? Is that where it comes from? Is that where that passion for these challenges come from? Because I like a lot of people would have said stage 4 cancer, I'm done, I'm checked out, I'm done, like their mental mind, and they probably be done already, but
Yeah.
you're like, you know I've seen your first post on it, my heart sunk, and you're like, we're getting this, like we're going to get this. You're like, this is we're going to get it. So talk about that mental mindset, where that comes from.
So for me, it's I mean, when I was young, it wasn't easy for me. It didn't come naturally. I was just a stubborn person, very stubborn in what I wanted when I was little. When I was young, I was very like I was I was I was the person that could always do it or always go there or always get it or always succeed. I would always find a way or I would fail trying, but I would always be the one wanting to do that, to go and do the thing that was the hardest, that was the shittiest. Like you show me the shittiest mountain to climb with a big ram on it, and I will be the first person in line to climb it. And I'll climb it 100 times in a row if I have to kill that sheep. And I don't care. I'll eat the same food. I'll wear the same clothes. I'll drink the same shitty water every day. I don't care. I just, to me, I love that feeling of being challenged. I love that feeling. Modern man doesn't get challenged like that anymore. And when you challenge yourself, it makes you feel alive. Like it makes you feel like you're a part of your circle. You're in your part of the circle, not just the circle. Because everybody has a different part. Not everybody works like that. That's not how everybody is. Everybody isn't a badass fire breathing dragon. There's people that have to build the bridges. There's people that have to plant the fields. There's people that got to build rocket engines, and it goes on and on. And then there's people that you need to put a gun in their hand and say, "Hey, go feed us." And those are people like me and you and all my friends that I have. They're people that are capable of going out in any kind of adverse condition and getting whatever job you need done, whether it's hunting, whether it's moving this thing or doing that or whatever it may be. It's just a mental mindset of not being able, like I I think of myself as not being able to be beaten. Like that's how I think. I feel that I can't be beat. That you can't beat me at anything that you do. If you're better than me, you still can't beat me because I will never ever stop trying to get better and better, and I will never stop trying to beat you. So in my mind, even though I've lost, you haven't won. You'll never, and you never will win in my mind, ever. It's how I feel. I look in the mirror in the morning. I wake up and I walk 3 steps before I remember I have cancer. I wake up not being that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
So for me, it's just evolved over the years. I've had to be tough. I got made fun of when I was little because of how I looked. Like, you know how many shitty people made fun of me just because of how I looked. And you know how many of those people that I know now are in high school are fat and ugly and old and sick. And they were mean, shitty people growing up to me. And I was still nice back to them, you know that? And I was just trying to fit into a crowd growing up. And I remember every single one of those son of a bitches, every single one of them. And I remember every single word that they said. And you know what? I used it as fuel to become a better me, to become a stronger me, to become a faster me, to become a fucking like a strong-willed mind person, whatever you want to call it. I've just continued and continued and continued to build on what I have until I got to the point of where I walk around feeling like I can't be beat. I
Hmm.
feel like I can't be beat by anybody or anything. And I'm looking at something right now that's so insurmountable and so huge that it's like looking at an elephant with a spoon, and going, okay, how am I supposed to eat all this? I get a hundred of my friends with me or 1,000 of my friends with me, it goes down pretty quick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Um, so you've got your diagnosis, and what are the tell us what the doctors are telling you. So you got your results out of Mexico. You came back to Canada, went through some tests. Talk us through the process of what doctors are telling you, and then in typical Ram Hunter fashion, you're like, no, 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 we're not going to settle for the Canadian medical system and some protracted treatment that may or may not be successful. You're like, no, we're going to go straight. We're going to go straight for the jugular on this one, which you have absolutely done. So talk us through that process, what they're telling you, what you're doing, and sort of your next steps and where you're going.
well, when they originally diagnosed me, they told me obviously it was like a stunning blow, like walking into a glass door. You know, they the doctor looks you in the face and says, "Yeah, you have a mass in your lung. You have one in your lymph node. You have one down along your liver." At the time, I don't still don't know for sure, but they said I had some on the outer curvature of my stomach. Um, there's one on your adrenal, on your kidney, and I knew where they were at that point because they hurt. When I got back from Mexico, I couldn't sleep at night. I was having to use sleeping pills on the frickin' island when I was hiking, so I could get sleep at night, so I could get up in the morning and walk again. And so I know exactly where they are. I could feel them, right? And um, so when he told me where they were, it wasn't a surprise. So I asked him, the this was the ER doctor. I asked him, like, "Hey doc, like, so what's next?" He goes, there isn't, I don't know if there is anything next for you. He said, bluntly, it's a pretty serious, well advanced disease. Um, I think the next prudent thing to do is to uh, get a um, pathology done on the tumor, and let's find out what we're dealing with here, what this animal is, like what kind is it, and that's going to give us some more understanding of what direction we go from here. Okay, and that was March 12th. So we, during that time from March 12th until the day that we started the meds that they have me on, was, I think, April 19th was you can't quote me on that, but somewhere in there. So I look at this, and the first thing I think of as soon as I hear this, well, I'm standing there listening to this because I'm a non-linear thinker. My mind's going in 10 different ways. I'm like, okay, what is it? Where did it come from? What, I don't understand what's going on with it. Well, and I start going through all these steps in my mind. And I get into the doctor, and they say, okay, we're going to do a biopsy. They do the biopsy, and then that's kind of it. And I'm like, oh, okay, now what? I want to talk to somebody, right? Like I want to sit
Mhm.
down and talk to an oncologist. I want to find out what's going on. I want to understand how this thing involves my body, what it's doing, what I can expect for side effects, what I can expect for um, you know, but by health problems, offshoot health problems from the tumors. There's nobody, there's crickets. Wow, there's crickets. I look around and I'm like, okay, what do I have? What's my best resource that I have? I start using AI. I get the best AI I can get. I talk to some medical people I know. I get enrolled in a medical AI and I start researching this to find out what it is I have. You know, what's going on. Okay, I know I have tumors. I don't know what they are. This is my first stage. Okay, what do I do? I'm a voracious reader of or listener of very smart people like Mr. Joe Rogan, for instance, or Tucker Carlson, or many other podcasters. You know, I read articles all the time. I'm always looking, I'm always learning. And I hear things and I see things with people that have cancer that I am very interested in. I want to know why. Why is this stuff they're taking working? So the first thing that I do is I find out where this is coming from, who's involved in it, and I get in contact with a doctor in Alberta who used to run a medical research cancer facility, branched off, started doing his own thing, and so now I know I'm riddled with cancer, but I these guys are looking at they don't even know 6 weeks before they even think of treating me. So I got an aggressive cancer that's going to be me for another 6 weeks when I already know the time span that it's been inside me and what it's done. So I call these guys up, I find out what's going on, I get a dosing figured out, and I start taking some repurposed medicines. And a lot of, and I mean a lot. And I do it in a scientific way, you know, talking with him and, metering the doses up until they're up to the levels that I can withstand without freaking out, because if people tell you they don't have side effects, they certainly do. And at those levels, and started my own treatment of, I don't want to mention the things, everybody probably knows what they are, but um and at that point, at 2 weeks in, when I started medicating myself, I was on the couch and I was sick. And that was before I had started, I just barely started taking these meds. So I had lost 25 pounds of muscle. I was down to 145. Wasn't eating, didn't have an appetite, was under a blanket, had the fire going. Veronika was helping me up and in and out of bed. I was going out for little short walks, trying to, maybe split a few pieces of wood or going to the gym for a day and doing whatever weights I could, because I could see that cachexia was causing me problems, right? That it was just muscle loss, right?
Mhm.
So I took proactive action to save myself at the best I could with what I had. And at about 4 weeks, I woke up one morning and I realized that my tumor in my chest didn't hurt anymore, and my diaphragm didn't hurt anymore, and my kidney didn't hurt anymore. And I'm talking about I couldn't sleep because my left and my right side hurt me so bad. I couldn't lay anywhere but flat on my back. If I rolled over, I'm instantly awake because it hurts, right? And I'm talking about now at 4 weeks, the pressure dissipating in my diaphragm, me no feeling no pressure in my chest, and feeling no um pain. I mean, I'm sleeping like a baby. And the stuff I'm taking, actually a byproduct of that is it gets you a little sleepy. So that helped. But I mean, I'm talking about side effects, like boom, I start feeling stronger. My appetite all of a sudden goes boom and wakes up. And now I'm eating a full plate of food minimum 3 times a day. I'm taking full supplements, vitamins. I'm taking all the stuff I need to take, plus a little more, plus, and I find myself getting stronger, and I get stronger, getting stronger day by day. I have some bad days. I have a lot of lactic acid buildup that makes me sore as hell and shit. It's from the inflammation, but all of a sudden I realize I'm feeling better. Like I am feeling better. I haven't had any scans to say I've had any reductions or anything like that. But I can tell you right now, I went from being bedridden to standing up on my own 2 feet, eating supper and walking around and going downtown and today like I am right now.
Hmm.
And about 6 weeks or so in, we discovered. I guess it would be about 5 weeks in. We discovered that not only did I have a really rare form of lung cancer, but I have a gene expression that's very rare with that cancer, which is very rare, and they're both very rare together. So everybody, the oncology people, were really excited to understand that, and they put me on a drug that is supposed to block that gene reception. It's basically a genetically targeted drug. It works specifically for that ALK positive expression. So from there, I started taking the drug, and it has a lot of shitty side effects, of which none did I have, thankfully. And I told the doctor I wasn't going to have any either. He
I
goes, "Well,
refuse to have those side
he
effects.
just said there's all these side effects." I said, "Well, I'm not going to have any of those." So because I knew that I needed to have that drug compare in compatibility with what else I'm doing. I know from a scientific point of view, because of it blocking that ALK expression, it's a very important piece of the puzzle.
Hmm.
And then right in the middle of all this, I have a friend who has a friend in the US government and ended up being accepted into their group. They have a research group with some other options that have become very successful and very interesting for me. And we're just working on those right now. And those I won't divulge. But it's a very selected, targeted type of cellular therapy. So
So that's there's been, you guys have been doing some fundraising. There was a GoFundMe. You guys had a very cool fundraiser in Fort St. John um, last weekend. Cody Robbins came into town and very successful fundraiser. Um, so is that part of obviously the Canadian medical system? It's um, yeah, obviously that there were things weren't happening quickly there, so that was a challenge for you. Um, is it are those funds, is that allowing you to do these treatments and stuff like that? Is this stuff going to be privately funded? Talk a little bit about how that whole process works. I know you can't talk about the details of your treatment
yeah,
right now, but share what you can on that side of things. And you're down in Florida right now, going through some stuff right now down there, aren't you, Shane?
yeah. So we're in the I'm going to the Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa. So I'm enrolled in there. We met with the team there day before yesterday, and then I did a bunch of blood tests. They're going to do blood biopsies to figure out the tumor type correctly. We had some problems with the BC side of things. Um, and then we have tests that are ordered for next week, the end of next week, that they're going to use to measure back on the images that I brought to them, but they're going to use them as kind of a starting point for their images. They're higher quality. So they're going to look for brain metastasis, which they haven't seen in me. And they're also going to set up a nutrition plan, which we already have nailed down pretty good. And they're going to set up a monitoring plan, like a professional monitoring plan. It's going to determine exactly when and where and how long the spans are between treatment, and to follow it to see what's going on. And
Do you
then
know?
go ahead.
Do you know how long you're going to be down there this time around? Will you be going back and forth, or
I
you think?
we have to go back. We have some more medical appointments when I get back that I have to go to. So we're gonna go back and deal with those, and then we actually had the BC Cancer Society contact us about asking me to be in a research group because my tumor is so odd, and they want me to go through another biopsy. And I said, why would I do that when these guys can take it with a blood test here? They can do the same thing with a blood test that you have to stick a knife in my thorax, my in my chest with, or you have to stick a big long needle in my chest. So, and then not even know if you're getting the right stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so we've kind of streamlined everything. So we've taken the maybe the main parts of the Canadian stuff and the faster parts of the American stuff and amalgamated them together just to try and save funds and save money and get the best care I can with the least amount of pain, like to come down here, I have hunting benefactors all over who are amazing people. They're just like, yeah, call me if you need I have 1,000,000 points. I'll take care of your flights. And another guy says, oh, I got your hotels. Or another hunter here has his place he lets me stay in, free of charge, gives me a vehicle to use. They're like very generous, like kind people that have done so much to help me out.
Well, that's awesome. Um, so you're coming back to BC very shortly here,
Yeah,
Shane, or yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Next week.
Right.
Beginning of next week, yeah.
So doing some tests down there, and then it'll just be contingent on what some of these tests say, next steps, and where you go and treatment and that sort of stuff. Is that
Yeah.
kind of, yeah?
And then we'll have to kind of tie everything together with the research team that's working on the other stuff we're working on. So between all of that, um, it's should be an interesting kind of, I don't know what you would call it, goat rope.
um,
and
so
I'm
there's but
I'm trying to find ways to get my life back. I mean, goddamn it, my life's been stolen from me. It's been like ripped right off from underneath my feet. Like the ability to go outside, to do anything I like to do, to pick up an axe or to grab a fishing pole. I can't swing a fishing pole because my shoulder hurts so goddamn bad, or whatever else. But I'm like little by little, where my day might have been going out fishing all day is now just maybe 100-yard walk or 200-yard walk might be my victory for today. But it's I mean it's destroyed me physically, like instantly.
mm,
So, and I feel like, and that's another thing that is weird because as my weight was dropping when I first started treating myself, all when my appetite came back, and I started eating. My weight obviously stabilized, and it wouldn't. And then I didn't have that feeling anymore of weakness, and like I couldn't do anything. I started feeling stronger, and like I'm like today. If you see me walking right now, and you compare that to March 20th, you would be probably stunned at the difference.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. Talk a little bit about your mental mindset. Like, where's your brain at right now? Is it about like so you've got you've got that you've lost your life basically. You're doing all this medical bullshit. You lost the ability to do the things you love. You're dealing with some degree of mortality. What's going to be the outcome of this? Where's your brain? Is it all fight? Is it all where's your brain at right now, Shane? What are you feeling?
Well, that's a good question. Um, um, when I was first told by the doctor, it was just kind of like I I heard it and I understood it, but I was just like, okay, now what is what I'm thinking. Like, what do we do now? And it's like a not a what do we do now fucking thing that he told me. It's like a hey, a here's a pile of shit. I'm gonna shovel it into your lap. Now it's your now figure it out. You know. So the initial the initial impact was very subtle. Driving home, knowing that I had to sit down and have a very frank and candid and very brutal conversation with all the people that I know was something that can't be described. It was brute. It was what it was it was unmitigated brutality, but unescapable. I sat them all down and I said, okay, listen, here's something that I have to tell you. You're not gonna like it, but this is your life is never gonna be the same again when you hear what I have to say. I said I have stage 4 lung cancer. And you know, I watched my mom crumble and fall on the floor. I watched my dad lay on the countertop crying. Veronika had already known. She was devastated to see the look of complete horror on my children's faces, thinking that my dad's gonna die. And then to sit there and watch that sink in, because that's a rock that you throw that you're never gonna get back. So it was, when I say heavy, and I've told a lot of my private friends that it's heavy. It was heavy, and it is heavy. Like, it's a burden. It's a motherfucker of a burden that I carry every day. And to put on a smiling face and to laugh and to take back that part of my life when it shouldn't be there for me to have is an easy victory for me. And it inspires other people around me to have the same sort of attitude. And it might even help somebody. Who knows? I hope it does. But I'll tell you right now, that there are worse things. There are some bad things out there in this world, and knowing your future and your fate is one of them. So we all, in our separate way, um, we all reeled from that. Uh, I guess you could call it a revelation, disclosure, and everybody had to cut off a portion and carry it with them because they can't just opt out of it. And we've all solidified. I think me being who I am helps because they see me trying, being stronger, being positive, making them laugh, doing whatever. And it helps them gather around, and it's made our tribe stronger. It's made us uh far more far more um, cognizant of the passage of time. To see a moment go by without using it in some way that's going to make you smile or make you happy or do something good is a criminal waste. To mistreat somebody you care about for even a minute, to mishandle a relationship that you covet, is a profound tragedy. You know, you fully understand that everything that we're doing doesn't really matter. The only matter, the only thing that matters is time. The only thing that matters is right now, right this second. None of I looked at all the things on my walls and I'm like, I'm gonna be fucking dead. And all these things are like, what's gonna happen to all this shit when I die? It's not mine anymore. I don't, I have guns and all kinds. Where are those gonna go? Bizarre. So we go out like smart people do, and we think we're smart people. I build a kill list that has everything on it in my life. It's got safety codes. It's got passwords. It's got this thing is here. This is there. This is goes to this place. This is part of this. This is how you open this safe. This is where, you know, so that if something happens to me, which it will, that they can pick that paper up and they aren't left with this brutal feeling of having to unravel the life of somebody they love. And we went out and did the will, did give her power of attorney. Yeah, so I always made jokes about never wanting to give half of myself away again. And now I got a woman she owns everything I have and I'm not even dead.
Hmm.
How's that for wild? And by the way, the most amazing woman on planet Earth, I can tell you that for a fact. In my eyes, in a
Yeah.
million different ways. Like,
Can you talk a little bit about, um, there's been an incredible community rally around you. You talked about your friends that have stepped up, your sheep hunting community. and beyond. But you know, the friends that have stepped up, and Veronika and your kids and your family. Of course, the fundraiser, the GoFundMe. Talk about some of that support and just the emotional support you've got from. You know, there was hundreds of people that got together last weekend in Fort St. John to be there for you, for Shane, just for you. They showed up because they love you and they want to support you. And there were, I'm sure there were thousands that wanted to be there that couldn't be there, me being one of them, that were there to celebrate you. What does that mean, and how does that affect your mentality, and how does that affect your um, the struggle ahead? That does it change the fight for, from your perspective?
Well, we're like humbled and eternally grateful for all the help we've gotten, what we've received. Cody Robbins jumping up and just throwing a fundraiser together out of midair was unexpected and outrageous, and he's awesome. um, he's he you know he's a very good person. Um all the people that have offered to help us. I mean, there's people that everybody doesn't know. A lot of people don't know about that have helped us. There's people that are trying to help us, you know, save our little family and, get back to where we were. And um they're they're doing it the best way they can by just getting behind us and telling us like, hey, what do you need? How can I help you? And there are people that aren't just saying, hey, if you need something, call me. These are people that are doing stuff without me calling them. They just are doing it because they want to be a part of, I, I don't know, this army of people that are trying to help us. Where I have like per the ultimate, you know, everyone's against me card being born. I've had my share of difficulties, and I sure am stunned to be at a point where at the end of my life, when I was supposed to be enjoying things, it's like now now I'm fighting 10,000 times harder than I ever fought before. you know so all the help and all the people that have come forward and all the well wishes, it's not just people that have helped with money or whatever. There's people that have called me in the middle of the night when everybody else was sleeping, when I wasn't, that that's worth more than money. And all my friends have rallied around me, and I have a lot of really close ones. A lot of people don't, but it turns out I've made a lot of pretty good friends. And um now they come around and it's like, holy shit, that's a lot of people to try and keep updated and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, and now I'm kind of at a point in my recovery or my fight or whatever you want to call it. I call it my recovery, where I want to start getting my life back. Like I want to start doing a few things. I'm not that strong yet, but I'm fucking strong enough to get out and do some of it, and I want it back. And I want it back right now because
What
that's
is that?
my life, going out and hunting and fishing and you know recreating in the world. I just love it. I love the people I meet, and I want to go out and I want to inspire people to join me, to fight with me and fight beside me, because there's a lot of sick people. Holy shit, when you start looking around, there's a lot of doors that you don't go down and open, in your everyday life. And when you open them, you're like, whoa, I didn't know that was in there. Well, there's 50 people that all have cancer that I didn't know about. So it's kind of put me in a position now where I'm like, let's do this. Let's go. Let's get after it. I wake up in the morning. I'm happy to be here. I'm the happiest guy to be here, actually, now. And I'll try and do some sit-ups, put some push-ups, some stretches, whatever, just to get ahead a little bit at a time. One day, but 1% better every day.
How's the family holding up? How's Veronika holding up? How are the girls holding up? How are your friends and family? How's everyone doing around you?
They're doing good. Veronica's transitioned her work to home, so she does a lot of her work out of home. And I mean, she's so good at her job. She just doesn't need to be there anyway to do it. And then she's on top of taking care of me. Like she won't let me out of her sight. I swear to God. she's yeah, she's amazing. And then the kids have kind of, they're a little sad about it, but now they've kind of got back into their lives again. And but anytime something comes up, like when we had to come down here, the girls were right there, like dad, we're coming too. And I'm like, kids, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I think I'm okay for a few days. Like, let me just get down there, find out what's going on, and then we'll go from there. They're all homeschooled, so they can pick up and go at a moment's notice.
Hmm.
So everything is dialed in pretty much, I would say. We're a pretty good team. We're not a pretty good team. We're a good team. I can say that with confidence. We're a good team. And with everybody behind us, feeling unbeatable is like the easiest thing in the world.
So you've been through these.
I feel like right now that at the rate I'm feeling better that I'll be sheep hunting this fall.
Is that right, eh?
And
That's
right
what I.
and right now, I can't my right shoulder hurts so bad from inflammation I can't lift it up.
Hmm.
I had a fuck of a time brushing my teeth today.
Hmm.
Really. So yeah.
Uh, are you finding that some days are like? Do you find day to day? It depends on the day. Is it? Are there good days and bad days? Or are they all
Yeah.
bad days?
Yeah, there's some better good days and some bad days, but it all comes if I exercise a little too much one day. I'm learning where those limits are because I'm not really good at setting limits. You know what I
No,
mean?
you're
You know
not.
what I mean?
You're good at setting the outer limit. You're like, just keep pushing that
So,
boundary.
so yeah. So now now I'm like super into molecular biology too. So like I don't know how much time I've spent studying it and researching it on AI, but it's enough that I've had doctors ask me if I had medical experience already.
Huh. Yeah.
That's a integral part of winning, learning, um, diet. I, since I, started, the treatment from the very beginning, from when we discovered it, I've not, but it was before that I didn't drink alcohol, but I had not, I didn't touch alcohol for the diet, not any sugar at all, zero carbohydrates. So full keto diet. I got myself in mid range ketosis within a week and maintaining my body weight at 145 where it's at and getting good food into me. Um, and I have not cheated and I am not going to. And it's part of my responsibility to do everything that I can to be as healthy as I can and to have my body as healthy as it can to be able to I can't compete with it if I'm not fit to.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
makes sense. And there's certain things that it works good on that I'm not gonna give it, and there's things that I work up good on that it doesn't work good on. That's what I'm gonna give it,
Yeah. Awesome.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
So now we got a few days to hang out here, and I get to sit around while they drink beer and laugh. I might get crazy and take a painkiller just because I'm hurting anyway. I'll
Yeah.
take it at 3 instead of 5, but trying to stay off of those as much as possible, obviously, and things are going good. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy. I, I mean, I went and bought my hunting license, so that's pretty. Yeah, I and my dogs are ready to go hunting. I don't know how I'm gonna catch them, but I'll. I'm damn sure gonna be the guy letting them loose. Yeah, you know what I mean. There you go, boys. Go find them.
S- So, so Shane, when you're in the space you're in this, fight for your life. What's you've had lots of changes and you've matured, right? Like you've gone through these challenges throughout your life, but you're also like you've changed, you've grown as a human being. You've got different motivations. You've got your family, you've got Veronika, you've got does it change on your fight mentality? Is there different motivations, like I'm gonna beat this for for the family, for Veronika, for the kids, or I'm gonna fight this just because I'm a fighter? Is it the same as last time when you're fighting for your life, or is it different this time? Do your motivations change?
Well, my motivation has always been my family. I love my family more than anything. If you ask me what the best job in the world was, I would tell you was being a dad. 100%. I love my kids. I always have. I always will. And um, for me, the fight is it's always the same fight. It's like not losing. You can't. How am I going to lose if you can't beat me? You can't
Hmm.
win. If I can't lose, you can't win. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel.
Hmm. Yeah.
I feel so confident in that I know it, that it's it's been something that has, from the young age of growing up and learning that I was myself, and realizing that being teased didn't hurt me anymore, and then learning to understand my solitude and go out and be myself and go in the mountains, and that I was, there was no way of taking away from what I was, no amount of words or anything. And slowly that just solidified inside me to the point of where I have, I have now, I don't want to like brag, but like I developed a very, very strong level of confidence. I feel incredibly confident in front of anybody, anywhere. You can give me a mic and I can walk up in front of 10,000 people and talk. I might not be the best talker, but I'll damn sure go up and do it. I'm not scared of it. Like, what's there to be scared of? What are you going to do? You laugh at me? You going to call me names again? You going to say I look funny? Well, why is your nose so big? You know, my next, how many people have walked up to me and went like, "Hey, why is your neck crooked?" And I can promise you that I've said this. I'd be like, "Why is your nose so big?" Or "Why are your eyes so close together?" And they look at you and they're like, "Well, that wasn't very nice." And I go, "Well, what makes you think you know me well enough to talk to me like that?"
Hmm.
Just rude people, picking apart your appearance and or whatever, But I just got to the point of where I was that confident, where it wasn't bothering me anymore. Now all of a sudden, and then one thing clicked one day. It was like I was walking through the desert in Mexico, and I thought to myself, I figured it out. If people recognize me because I don't look the same as them, then that means I stand out and I have something that they don't. I have I have I have what's called, what's the word when you um like they can't, I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Um all I'm saying is that anywhere I go, I look different, and I have that ability to grab the attention of somebody. Most people are unrememberable. They're just average, right? It's a sea of masses, but one person walks by in a red, and then you're like, oh, that person. But all of a sudden, I realized that people would remember me, and then I thought, what if they remember me for something good? What if they remembered me for some kindness that I did? So that's when I joined with Wounded Warriors and started, really spending time trying to help people and do good things for people and be good to people. And then that spilled over into being good to my friends and good to my family and good to my spouse and good to my kids. And then all of a sudden something happens and I'm surrounded by so many people that they're my friends. So I get to this point now where I'm looking around, go, okay, I got a lot of people watching. Better be working your ass off. And so now I have that in my mind that I'm going to be working my ass off.
Shane, how does it feel to have thousands of people caring and pulling for you? How does that make you feel?
It's an incredible feeling. I mean, it's humbling, very humbling, but it's incredible. I mean, I already feel like a one man wrecking force all the time anyway. Like I feel like I don't need anybody. I don't need any help. And then I realized, hey, I need a little bit of help, and I ask for help. And like there's a thunderous roar behind me of people, not just a few, you know. And I mean, it's an incredible feeling. It makes me feel in in some of these times when I felt just hopeless, like holy fuck, like I just feel like I can't. How can I? How can I possibly move forward here in any direction? And it's because there's so many people behind me that are helping me with that.
Yeah.
I'm confident I can get through this with it, but I could do this by myself. But if if I want to do this good, if I want to do it well, it'll be with everybody I love and all my friends and everybody that's helping me, because then I know that I'll do my best job. Every time I choke down Brussels sprouts, I'll think of all of you.
Yeah, brilliant. Um, so sheep hunting this fall. You're gonna be on the mountain.
I am,
Awesome. I love
yeah.
it.
I'm gonna put that prediction out there right now.
Amazing. Amazing. So we talked a little bit about it, and you said you could do this on your own, but you don't need to. Um, I know there's a GoFundMe out there. What can we do to? And I know people are just doing it, but those that don't know, what can they do to support you? How can they help in your fight? What's going to help you to get through this?
Just reaching out and saying hi, and you know, maybe lend a hand to somebody else or help somebody else, spread the goodwill. You know, come if you're somewhere where we are, come and say hi. Come have some laughs, drink some whiskey with us, tell some jokes, tell some whatever. Just come live life. The GoFundMe's a great way of helping, but There's some people that have sent money to us privately. There's um there's lots of people that have offered to come to our ranch even. I know I said, hey, maybe we need to get some firewood the first week I got home because we were kind of out of firewood. And I woke up in the morning and there's like 6 dump truck loads in our yard. So it's been like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. Uh, brother, I can tell you that my heart is with you and my thoughts are with you, and you're an inspiration. You are going to beat this, and um, I think we should check in from time to time. I'd love to stay updated on the podcast. I know we do it off the podcast, but love hearing your journey, and I think you're an inspiration for people. I think you're an inspiration for people on the mountain. I think you're an inspiration for people off the mountain, and I think our guests and listeners love hearing from you. And I just appreciate you sharing your feelings, your journey, and as always, your honest and very raw feelings on the whole thing. And you know, for me, I just wanted to. I can't say I know you well, Shane. I consider you a friend, a good friend, but I don't. We don't hang out every day, but I also feel like whenever we have a conversation, it's so genuine, it's so honest, it's so raw, and I kind of wanted some of our listeners to hear that too, because I think that when they hear you speak, it's a pretty genuine conversation, no filter, and I
Yeah.
think people need to hear that. And um,
Much.
yeah, I appreciate you coming on here to talk about it today.
Yeah. And I would tell anybody that's like fighting cancer, like pay attention to there's more than just mainstream news and doctors. There's a lot going on. You got AI at your fingertips. You have the world at your fingertips right now. So
You know, we could go down a rabbit hole with this, and maybe we do that one day. We won't do it today, but um, growing up, I always had this thing where it's like, oh yeah, like doctors are there that they're going to look after you. It's their job to look after you. And that is so far from the truth. Your job is to look after you. That's there's one
yeah,
person in charge of that. There's nobody else. And I'm not saying that doctors aren't going to be there and they're not going to be a great resource, but that's all they are. They're a resource. They are not going to save your life. You are the only person that's going to save your life, and you've confirmed that today, as we know. And but I was so naive for the longest time, thinking, oh yeah, doctors are there to look after me. I'm like, nope, they are not. That's your
yeah.
job.
I just on a closing note, I put a freedom of information request in because that's what you got to do to get your own medical file. And right in the front of my file inside, it said palliative care on it. And I can guarantee you that I'm not palliative care quite yet.
Mm,
I have a few more things up my sleeve.
mm. That's interesting. So you have to FOI your own medical records. You can't just go in and get them.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. How long did it take, out of curiosity?
Yeah, it wasn't long.
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, but
still have to do it. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Mm,
interesting stuff.
yeah. Well, Shane, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing um, this part of your journey, and I can tell you from me and my family, and I know the society in general, we're behind you, brother. We're pulling for you, and we're excited to watch you to crush this thing.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And it's always a pleasure chatting with you. And even though we don't get to hang out much, I'm sure it's it's inevitable, that we're in the same circles. So somewhere
Yeah.
something's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, last time was in Reno, and it was sure nice to spend time with you there. And that's like back then, it was Reno, and we weren't thinking about cancer. We weren't talking about that. We were talking about actually SCI. We were thinking about going over. We talked about that. I know. And I've talked to Nolan. Nolan's all keen to go to SCI this year. So, are you going to SCI next year? Do you have that on your agenda? Of course
Yeah,
you do.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course you do. So. Well, I'm not sure when the next time is going to be, but it's going to be soon, and look forward to it. So, Appreciate you, man.
Okay. Over and out.